welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah and let's talk Henry Kane. Check out my new robe. Isn't that cool? Definitely suits the season and I am in love with it. So today has been a bit of an odd day. It's actually Thomas' birthday, my husband. He's 34 today, yay! We've done so much stuff over the weekend to kind of like celebrate his birthday. Like I gave him his gifts like a week and a half ago kind of thing because they were relevant to what he's been working on, the Warhammer stuff and whatnot. So like everything has kind of been a bit before his actual birthday, so today is just more of a chill day for us. But then also it's the Queen's funeral today, which I kind of just got done watching a little bit ago. So a bit of a interesting day. We have a birthday and also a funeral. Before I get into the actual book I'm going to be reading, I want to talk a bit about the author. So I did a little bit of digging on him because this book has like not a lot of information about it either. So this guy was born in either 1908 or 1918, which I noticed that more like official documents would say he was born in 1908, where his friends were the ones saying no, it's 1918. But people think that's because he just simply lied about how old he was and wanted to appear younger. And I mean, so many people did that, so I wouldn't like put it past someone to do that. And he passed away in 1988. His life is actually pretty interesting, and I found an article that was written by someone that knew him, and I'll link that down below. But it was posted on mulhollandbooks.com, but that article was originally printed in the Mystery Scene magazine, and it just says like some stories that Henry Kane had told this person and some things about his life, and it's just like, this guy was something. Like, he was a character for sure. But over his lifetime, he wrote 60 books. Like, he was originally an author, or not an author, originally a lawyer, but then when he saw he could make money with writing, he was like, well, fuck this, I'm just gonna write, kind of thing. But most of what he wrote was mysteries. Like, half of those 60 plus books are all about the same character named Peter Chambers, who is this private eye in New York. So it's a bit like into that kind of stereotype of that kind of genre. So the fact that this book is a horror book is a bit out of the norm for him. But like, he actually has an IMDb page because he actually wrote a lot for TV shows, movies, and radio. He even wrote some episodes for the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, and that just kind of caught me off guard. It was just like, damn, this guy did a lot of writing in his life. And it turns out The Little Red Phone was his last novel that he wrote since he passed away in 88. This was published in 82. And that happens to be what I'm going to be reading today. So I found this book in a used bookshop here in Paris called San Francisco Book Co. It was one of the only hardcovers on the shelf. Like, they have like so many books and so much old stuff and things like stacked behind each other. I don't know, like this just really caught my eye. And especially when you open it, if I can open it, right in the front, there are two stamps here, one on the bottom and one that's a little bit harder to see up here. The bottom one is from Scott Meredith Literary Agency in New York, New York, which is an agency that Henry Kane worked with when he was alive. And then the other stamp is from an agency here in Paris in the 9th. And I don't know what those stamps mean in here. So if you know that at all, please let me know, because I tried Googling it, but I couldn't find anything really. So this book on Goodreads has absolutely zero presence. There is one 2-star rating, but they didn't give like a review, so it's just that star rating, that's it. And also on Goodreads, this is labeled as a cult horror fiction. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how close that's actually going to be to what it really is. But also his author picture on Goodreads is just like amazing. It definitely gives like that New York detective vibe, and I'll pop it up here for a second. It really got me. I thought it was funny, but on the back of this book, it actually has his picture, if it doesn't reflect so much in the screen. But he would have been in his 70s when he wrote this, so definitely a lot older than what his Goodreads picture shows. But yeah, I bought this and I wanted to read it right away, but I also knew I wanted to do a reading vlog for it for spooky season, Halloween, whatever. So I've kept it on a shelf since I bought it back in spring of this year, just waiting for it to be the right time. And so I actually thought it was bigger than what it was gonna be. It's like, I took it off the shelf and I was like, holy crap, this is actually a pretty small book. It's just over 200 pages long. I don't really remember anything about the description either, so let's read that together here. And it says, malignant evil in a seductively prosaic setting is the chilling essence of this finely crafted horror and occult story. All right, so we have occult horror right there in the beginning, so that tag on Goodreads does seem appropriate. Maureen and Stephen Blair and their 2 adopted children live pleasant, uneventful lives until the little red phone, a child's toy, in the attic starts ringing, and the hollow voice on the end, the voice of a dead father and husband, warns that manifest evil lives in one of the children, a handsome, precocious 12-year-old boy taking demonic instructions. His mother is told but will not believe what she has heard until it is almost too late. The Little Red Phone is a novel in the classic mode of psychological suspense and the supernatural, a story that will come back to haunt every time the phone rings. So that to me sounds really intriguing, and since there's no ratings, and I've never seen anyone talk about this or this author or anything, I am really excited to dive in here because I have no expectations. How can I really? But seeing like that 1-2-star rating, I really hope it's going to be better than that. And also I think knowing that it was the author's last book he wrote before he died kind of thing, I think that adds another layer of just intrigue to it. I probably won't be able to come back and update you guys tonight, because I'll probably read this before bed because we are going out to dinner tonight for my husband's birthday, but I'll be back in a bit. Don't mind my appearance. I literally just got up like 20 minutes ago. I can actually still hear it in my voice a bit. Literally all I've done this morning is put a sweater on and eat a bowl of cereal. I haven't even brushed my hair or anything. But Toma is at home, so I just wanted to be able to film this little clip real quick. So last night I got 40 pages in. I was really fucking tired last night, so there was no way I was gonna get more than that. And this is definitely not starting out how I thought. The book is so short, and like in those 40 pages, we haven't even gotten to the house that has the red phone yet. It's giving so much backstory on the main characters, which not even the children really. It's just a bit much. Like right now, I feel like if we had already started at the house or cabin or whatever you want to call it with the phone and like stuff happening, I think that would have been much better, because right now it definitely doesn't have me at all. It's not like gripping. It's not really giving me a reason to want to care. And I feel like you can definitely tell that this guy is like a crime writer and usually writes about like PIs and stuff just from his style. But at the moment, I'm not too impressed. But so far, we're basically following from like Maureen's perspective. And oh god, Torti is going a bit crazy, so she's jumping on everything. Okay. And pretty much she grows up in some small town, wants to move to New York, go to college, become a teacher. So she does that, can't get hired as a teacher, instead gets into modeling for the money, and she meets her best friend while doing that. And this friend is like, hey, I know this single guy I want you to meet. His name is like Stephen Blair, I think it is. Yes, Stephen Blair. Maureen is 21 at this time, and Steve is 39. And when they get married, they're 22 and 40. And it's just like, what the fuck? And Steve is even the one that's like, this is too big of an age gap, like what the hell, this is just weird. But she like pressures him into marriage. It's really, really strange. He has a secret that's revealed right away, in that he's sterile, he cannot have children, and that's why his previous marriage dissolved, is because the woman wanted kids and he couldn't give them to her, kind of thing. And that's the backstory it gives, but we're actually 10 years into the future when Maureen is 32. And one of her other friends is a psychologist or psychiatrist. I always get the two mixed up. And he's just a little bit older than her husband, but they're all like friends and everything. But she goes as kind of like a friend, half a client kind of thing, because she wants to talk about her husband. And he's like, I know exactly why you're here. Your husband's already come to me and talked to me, and he wanted you to come to me as well. And it turns out this guy thinks the husband has like depression. Like the past year, he hasn't been feeling the greatest. They haven't been having sex, like just crap like that. And his like suggestion is, hey, you know this house in Maine that you have? Yeah, you should go take a year sabbatical there with the kids. And she's just kind of like,
you know, that's probably not a bad idea, but I hate the fucking house. And he's like, you don't hate the house, you just hate how you got the house. And so then that's when it goes like 10 years back and tells all this backstory part. But then it finally gets to like how they acquired this house, which is going to be like so pivotal in this freaking story. And also the reason I'm telling you this is because like this is in the first 40 pages. Like, I don't really consider it that when it's right in the beginning of the book, but pretty much their friends had these twins, and when they were 4, there was an accident with the parents and they both died. And in the will, they kind of like left their children to Maureen and Steven. It's really a bit strange. Like, they were basically like, if our friends like are okay with it, we would like them to adopt our children kind of thing. But they're the ones that were like the babysitters for the kids anyway, so it wasn't like quite a stretch. But the way the parents died is they had spent like 7 months up in their cabin in Maine, and they had come back, and the guy is like a cartoonist, and he realized, oh shit, I left all my stuff locked in my desk drawer back in Maine. So they drop the kids off at like the friend's house and go back up to the cabin, but like instantly get in a car accident and die. And so Maureen is kind of like, it's the house. Like, she just has that bad vibes there. She says she always has, ever since she's first been there, and that she just sees it as a house of death. She's the only one that feels this way. Everyone else thinks she's just crazy because, you know, hysterical woman kind of thing. So this couple ends up with these children, and since the guy was sterile, they're just kind of like, oh look, free kids, and kind of pretty much okay with it. So pretty much where it ended in the book was just her agreeing to go there. So I mean, they haven't even gotten there yet. And also the house being in Maine, I thought was really funny, just because Stephen King, like all the crazy shit in his books pretty much mostly takes place in Maine. So I was wondering if that was a reference. Also the last name Blair, like Linda Blair, I was wondering if that's a reference as well. So I don't know, but my theory right now, and obviously I won't really say if I'm right or not, but my theory right now, since this is labeled like a cult horror, is that maybe Stephen, or I don't think Maureen would, just based on how she was talking about how she didn't really care if she had kids or not. I don't think it'd be her, because she was so insistent on like getting married and marrying for love and everything. So I don't think it'll be her, but I think Stephen might have dabbled in something, because he might have been afraid that she would leave him if he couldn't give her children kind of thing. And I'm wondering if that's about to bite them in the ass kind of thing, and that's where this phone comes in. But I really hope it comes in soon, because like this whole first part was so dry, and like the first paragraph fucking scared me, especially after reading freaking Henry James. There are a million commas, and there's like a semicolon and the other fucking thing I can't freaking remember the name of. But like, I'm gonna read this first paragraph to you, because it was just so, like, I was reading it and I'm like, it just feels so like it like just abrupt every time, like we're talking like this kind of thing. So it says, on this rainy day in April, a dark Saturday in New York City, Maureen Blair, in a corner of the cab, wished forlornly for a cigarette. She had stopped smoking. It was almost a year, and would never return to smoking, but there were moments of stress, and sometimes moments of nothing at all, when she experienced a pain, an anxious emptiness that with certain persons must perforce be forever. The lingering, always aftermath of addiction. She shook it off, smiled dourly. This day she was entitled. Stress. She was on her way to a session with a psychiatrist. First time. And it's just like, what the fuck? And his writing is kind of like that in other points, but not throughout. It's pretty plain the rest of the time, and so when I saw that, I was like, fuck, I don't want to read this anymore. But also that answers the thing, the guy was a psychiatrist. But I forgot what else I was gonna say. I was about to say something else, and I can't remember. What the hell? Oh yeah, I also think that this might not have been like a final copy, because I'm noticing like words, what the hell, I'm noticing words missing in sentences, and not spelling errors, but just things like that, where it's like, wait, this needs to have like an is, or this is missing a word in front of it kind of thing. And so I'm wondering if that's why there's like the agency stamps in the front or something, because this just doesn't feel final, and my bookmark is falling through the book. I'm definitely going to read more today, and hopefully it'll look a bit more put together. I'm not going to read it right away though, it's still morning time here. I should be back sometime today, at least. I'm reading in bed right now, which is why there's just a blank wall behind me. So I've read 3 more chapters of this, and the children here are really fucking weird. Like, they feel like they're 16 years old to me, but they're only supposed to be 12. The way they talk is literally like 1800s Victorian child. It's very, very strange and very like, yes, mother, no father kind of thing. And so I'm wondering if there's something like fucked up with these kids or like what the hell is happening, because they're described as basically like completely perfect. For some reason I was talking about them going through puberty early as well. And it mentions that the girl, Laura, I think her name is, she doesn't even experience menstrual cramps, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's just such a random thing to mention, but also really weird in general. And so it's like, what is happening? So these kids are like perfect in every way. They talk as if they're much older than what they are. And like everything about them just seems like they're 16 instead of 12. And so everything is just really throwing me off because I cannot view them as 12 years old. I just cannot. Also, it seems like there's going to be a weird subplot in here with the wife maybe having an affair or something. Like she took her daughter to the doctor, and the doctor was the son of the guy that used to be there. I guess the old one retired or something. And she's like, oh my God, it's the second time in my life that a man has made my heart like flutter like this. And then it goes from his perspective after they leave for a few pages, and he's like, oh my God, this is only the second time in my life that a woman has ever made my heart flutter like this. And it's like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? This has nothing to do with anything. This is not horror. Just fucking stop, please. The only thing with the phone so far, we still haven't actually seen the phone, but there has been ringing, and only the husband can hear it. And so he's being a fucking dick, because he's like, how the fuck can you not hear the phone? Are you fucking deaf? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, dude, fucking chill. But I really hope this picks up the pace, because like, what page am I even on? Let's see. I'm on page 69, haha, chapter 6. And so like, so I'm already like a third through this book here, and nothing interesting has happened. Like right now it's definitely a 2-star, and so I'm really scared about that 1 2-star rating on Goodreads. I'm just like, fuck, is it gonna be this the whole time? The writing style also isn't interesting at all. Like it's very, very plain. And this book really feels dated, like even the writing. And it's weird because I was just reading stuff from the early like 1900s just fine, but this from the 80s feels dated as fuck. And I feel like the genre that he normally writes is showing through. Like I feel like if I was reading like a 70s or 80s like crime book, this is what it would sound like. So it just feels really bizarre so far. And it's really, really lacking in the horror and the tension. Like, I need something to happen soon, especially with how short this book is. So I'm probably going to read a bit more. I don't even know what time it is right now. Honestly, I'll probably be finishing this within the next few days, just because I want to read more. Like, I want to see, like, where is this? Is this actually going to go someplace interesting? Are we even going to see the fucking phone at this point? Like, what is actually going to be the horror elements here? So I'll probably be back in a bit.
So cute. No, she activates. Look at you, baby girl. Yeah, you're so cute. It's your face. It's your face. Look at you. Yeah, you're so cute.
Editing Hannah here. So pretty much this next clip, I just go straight into spoilers with no warning. I completely forgot to say anything about it because pretty much from this point onward, I cannot talk about this book without spoilers. It just gets like batshit insane kind of thing, and not in a good way. Also, I need to say a content warning here. So if you don't want to hear that or see spoilers or anything, just skip straight to the chapter called Final Thoughts. But major content warning for rape of a minor, and incest from this point onward. So you have been warned. I am in bed reading, so I just figured I would film a little clip here. And I think that's what I said last time too. So I read a few chapters after the last clip, but then I just read another chapter here, and this book has just taken a really fucked up turn that I was not expecting at all, and I do not like it, and what the fuck. Pretty much there was like this old lady that died. She was 81, so everyone's like, oh, she just died in her sleep, whatever. Well, they did an autopsy for some reason, and it turns out she was raped and murdered, and it's like, what? But before that, the mom had a dream that the 12-year-old son had sex with her, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
And then, like, how she woke up and everything the next morning, it implied that it wasn't a dream and it actually happened. They say this other news about the old woman, and I'm like, are they really trying to make it seem like it's this fucking 12-year-old? Like, so yeah, I don't really understand what the fuck is happening right now, and it's literally, like, 1-star read right now. Like, stuff was finally happening, like, the dad is going fucking crazy, and he still hasn't even heard what the voice on the phone is saying. So far the description of this book has been completely inaccurate. I'm over halfway through, so like, what? And oh my god, I mean, I assume now he's gonna fucking hear the voice, because it seems like now weird shit's happening with the boy. But I really hope that's not the direction this book is gonna go, because no, please no, that is not right. Like, I do not want to read about that. So I'm probably gonna stop there for now. I don't know, I'm not sure what I want to do, because part of me just wants to be done with this and just not pick it up again. But I'm gonna keep going, I guess. We'll see what happens next. Don't mind the pile of dirty clothes in the background. Ori just decided to steal the laundry basket. He's sleeping in it, so I couldn't put them away. So they're just kind of stuck there for now. But yeah, read some more of this thing last night, and I'm gonna have to go into full spoilers here. Like, there's just no other way for me to discuss this book otherwise. I realized I kind of did that in my clip last night, and so I'll probably have to film something later to kind of warn about that ahead of time. Also some content warnings and stuff. So right now I'm on page 138, chapter 14. So I have less than 100 pages. It's like about 80 pages or something left. And like, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this book. Right away in the chapter I started last night, the dad dies. And of course he was with the son, Josh. Is that his name? All right, well, if it isn't, we're just gonna pretend that it is. So Josh and the dad went out fishing at like their own private cove thing. Josh comes back to the house, and it's only the mom home at the time, and he's just like covered in blood and crying and everything, and she's like, holy fucking shit, what happened? And he takes her to the cove, and the dad's just laying there dead with his fucking head bashed in. Basically his story is that this escaped crazy person came up, bashed the dad's head in with a rock, and then stabbed him. Which I have to back up a bit, because in the beginning of this book, right when they get to the cabin in Maine to stay there for the year sabbatical or whatever, the police warn them like, hey, there's a guy that grew up here. He ended up like murdering people or something. I don't really remember what it was, but he's now in like an insane asylum, and he recently escaped and is in Maine, so it is possible that he would come back here since this is his hometown kind of deal. And so they showed them a picture and everything, and are like, just keep a lookout. If you see anyone that looks remotely like him, give us a call kind of thing. And so that's how it kind of brings it back around to this. And so Josh is like, that's the guy I saw, it's the guy in the poster, the guy they warned us about, he's the one that did it. So it definitely seems like this book is making it very obvious that something is wrong with Josh, and he's trying to pin all these crimes on the not mentally stable guy. I don't know if that's going to end up being a red herring in the end with the description of this book. I feel like it's not, but I don't know. It's just, everything is just very conveniently revolving around Josh at the moment, but it feels so heavy-handed. A part of me is like, it can't just be that, right? Like, I don't know, but now that the dad's out of the picture, which I was not expecting that. Like, that actually shocked me. But now that the dad's out of the picture, is the mom gonna hear the phone ring? Because the dad has been the only character to hear it, and whenever he would pick up the phone, like, he couldn't hear the voice on the other end kind of thing. So I don't know if it's finally gonna be the mom that hears it and answers and can actually hear what the other side is trying to say, or where the fuck this is gonna go. But like, with 80 pages left, this has to ramp up insanely fast now. But as of right now, I feel like this book cannot figure out what fucking genre it wants to be. This has just been a very bizarre read, and with what happened last night, I'm just like, I am very uncomfortable, and not in like a fun way or anything. It's just, I don't want to read about anything like that. So I'm probably gonna finish this today, so I'm not exactly sure how many more check-ins I'm gonna have. We'll see if I encounter just anything that I absolutely need to talk about right in that second. So I will be back soon.
And this beast stole the laundry basket. Yes, look at your guilty face. Oh my god, what is that? What are you doing?
He just keeps putting his arm through the holes.
Look at that footy. Look at that big footy. Oh, oh goodness, big footy.
Boop.
You're so weird.
What the fuck was this book? This is trash. This should not have been written. Thoughts. Also, sorry if it looks really dark in here. The sun is setting. Like, it's pretty late in the afternoon now. I don't know. What time is it, Toma? It's almost 8 o'clock, and with the actual light on in here, everything is yellow. So I'm just trying to do it like this. But whatever. Anyway, this fucking book. So before I get into final thoughts, I need to tell you what the fuck happened, because this is pure fuckery and I hate it. So what did I talk about last time? The dad died, whatever. Mom starts hearing the phone. When she answers it, it's actually the husband's voice because he died more recently. Therefore, his voice is more clear and whatever. And he is just like, don't have a lot of time. I gotta tell you all this shit. And then it cuts off. And that happens like 3 times before he can actually say what he wants/needs to say. But well, every time she answers, he's just like, you need to listen, okay? Don't interrupt me. You just need to listen, okay? And he just kind of like says that over and over for like 2 paragraphs straight before even saying anything he needs to say. And it's like, just fucking say it, dude. Just fucking say it. And what he says makes no sense. He's basically like, Josh is evil, and it starts during puberty, and it ends 1 year after puberty, and that means the monster is complete then. And you have to defeat it before it's been a year since he hit puberty. And 5 months after he hit puberty, he kills. And then 2 months after that. And then 5 months after that. And that completes the ritual. And it's like, what the fuck? And apparently everyone he has to kill has to be a man. And he has to drink a quart of blood or something. They said it's like 0.453 liters or something like that. And I'm like, what the fuck? What is this trash? It's like, it doesn't give it a creature name or anything. Like, the guy's just like, he is evil. They just call it evil. And it's like, what is he? And apparently he's part incubus because of the sex part. And oh, the sex part gets so much worse than what I talked about before. So the mom gets fucking pregnant. And that is disturbing as hell. And like, she hasn't had sex in like a year. So like, she knows it's the kids. And it's just like, why would you not have a fucking abortion immediately? But she doesn't. She wants to keep it. But then 30 pages before the fucking end of this book, like, we find out that the sister, the twin sister of Josh, Laura, she, or Lori, they call her both, she has been having the same sex dreams the mom has. And it's like, why? How do you make it that much fucking worse? And that's the second point where I was like, can I just stop fucking reading this? Because what? So the mom is obviously fucking terrified and like, what the fuck? And so she immediately takes the daughter to a gynecologist appointment and is kind of disguises it as like, hey, we're gonna go back to New York, we're gonna have this fun weekend, but you're a woman now, so you should also get checked out. And so she has like a pregnancy test done on her because she's terrified that what happens if she's pregnant too. They do that, and that's literally in the last like 10 to 20 pages that's happening. And so I'm like, how the fuck is this ending if we're like, there's only 10 pages left and they're in New York at a fucking gynecology appointment? Like, what the fuck is happening here? It turns out the mom's pregnant, the 12-year-old isn't. Thank God. The one fucking good thing he did in this story was making sure the 12-year-old wasn't pregnant. And then the rest of it, there's like no actual climax to this story. Literally, she just decides like, okay, the daughter isn't here and it's just me and the son. I'm just gonna set the fucking house on fire and be done with it, because she was told he has to be killed by fire. He's had like this weird fire phobia his whole life, and so I guess they're connecting it that way. And like, but basically he's they reiterate like several times in this book how heavy of a sleeper he is. So she like locks the windows and doors so that he's locked in his room, sets the fire in the garage, which is right under his room, and she just like walks out and is watching the house burn. And like we don't hear anything about the son at all. Like you don't see him trying to get out. There's nothing, like no screaming, nothing like that. And then the house collapses. And the daughter actually had come home during the night and the mom didn't know. So she had to go back in the house and get her out. But it was so like not threatening. Like they did it just fine. There was no like tension or anything. And so the mom and daughter are just standing there like watching the house burn down. And the daughter's like, oh, what about Josh? And the mom's like, no, Josh didn't make it. And so they get in the car to go leave. And the mom realizes her slipper fell off. So she gets out to grab the slipper. And that's when the house collapses. And so they're like, oh yeah, he's dead. And when that fucking happens, she has a miscarriage right at that moment. And it's like, what the fuck? And I'm actually going to read this. This is literally like the last several paragraphs of this fucking book. Yeah, this is literally the third paragraph from the end. It says, up from her womb and down from the base of her abdomen, a stabbing, searing pain. Her groin was on fire, trapped in a spasm that threw her forward across the hood of the car. She knew it was happening and prayed it would continue to happen. And it did. Somewhere, a passageway seemed to open inside her. She felt a warm, viscous flow out of her and down her thighs, and she unashamedly thanked God. What the fuck? So apparently the incubus dying, like, aborted the baby or something? Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening here. And also, she has all this fucking blood on her, and all she does is just, like, put the robe around her tighter and get in the car. And the daughter's like, what's going on? And she's like, oh no, everything's fine. And they drive away. That's how it ends. That's how it fucking ends. It's like, what? What? Like, am I missing something here? Like, I feel like I'm going crazy. And the last sentence is also, like, the last paragraph. And it says, the child huddled down and even closer to her mother as Maureen turned on the ignition, switched on the heater, and commenced the slow journey over snow-clogged roads toward the township of, oh god, Acheron Falls? I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce that town. And the home of Alan Harrison, where her life and her daughter's would have a safe haven in which to begin once again, ... What? I don't know. I really don't know. So there was like way more sex stuff in here than I was expecting, and very, very inappropriate sex stuff, which I do not like. Do not fucking like. And so I guess in the end, I think it's supposed to remain ambiguous whether he was actually, like, a creature or not. But, I mean, the mom was not having sex with anyone else and ended up pregnant. So, I mean, it's kind of like, yeah? So I feel like the description of this book was a huge bamboozle because this whole plot doesn't really happen till the last 20 pages. And then, like, nothing happens with Josh. Like, it's so weird. There's no confrontation. There's no big climax. It's just she literally just sets a fire and goes and watches outside. That's it. And he's just presumed dead. So I guess I want to get into my final thoughts now because I don't know what else to say. So this is going to be non-spoiler. So if you've skipped here to skip past the spoiler parts, welcome again. But overall, the writing style of this, you can definitely tell this guy's books are all mainly crime. Like, you can tell that's his main genre, because it definitely feels like 60s, 70s era crime novels. So in other words, the writing style isn't very impressive. It's borderline boring. Content warning: 4, rape of a minor, and incest. Those are very, very big points in here, unfortunately. And essentially, this book was less about the entity that it tells us about in the fucking description and more about traumatizing women. Like, that was such a huge thing here, and not just the main character, Maureen, but like her daughter and this other old woman. Like, it was so bizarre. Like, just over like 3 generations of women, just all this crazy trauma, and it's like, what the hell? You are a white man in your 70s. Why is this what you are writing about? So it turns out that 2-star that someone rated this on Goodreads, they were actually being generous. This is a 1-star read for me. 0 out of 10, don't recommend kind of thing. Probably should have DNF'd it, but didn't just because of how short it is. And honestly, if Goodreads would let me give a lower rating, I would give it And I'm starting to feel like these reading vlogs are cursed because this is 2 in a row where I have not enjoyed the book that I picked. So essentially most of the plot in here was about a woman having an emotional affair, and the fact that we didn't even get to the house where this fucking phone is until 50 pages in, it's just too much. There was too much in the story that didn't matter, and the description was just way off of what this book actually is. And I really just wanted the paranormal aspects to be ramped up a lot more than they were. This did not feel like a horror to me. The only way it would be a horror is like the disgusting like sex stuff, and I was not a fan of that. So unfortunately, is what it is. Went into this with no expectations, still ended up disappointed. But thank you for hanging out with me through this very shitty journey. It is always appreciated. And until next time, bonne journée and au revoir.